Before we begin, I want you to think about the one thing in your life right now that feels like a dead end. Maybe it's a dream you've been chasing for years, but every path you've tried has crumbled beneath your feet. Maybe it's a prayer you've prayed so long that you've started to wonder if heaven is even listening. Or maybe it's a battle so heavy you can't even see past tomorrow. We've all been there, standing at that point where the road runs out and the voices around you whisper, "It's over." But I came here to tell you, it is not over. You serve a God who is not limited by roads, doors, or circumstances. He is not intimidated by obstacles, and he is not bound by the rules of this world. And if you can't find a way, oh my friend, he will give you the courage, the faith, and the wisdom to create one. Today I'm going to speak life into that part of you that's tired, into the part of you that feels stuck, into the part of you that's almost ready to give up. By the time we finish, you're going to see that this dead end might just be the starting point for the greatest breakthrough of your life. So lean in, stay with me, and don't let your mind wander, because what you're about to hear could be the very key you've been praying for. When the road before you seems closed, when the doors you've been knocking on stay shut, and when every option looks exhausted, it is in that moment that the power of God begins to shine the brightest. God is never intimidated by impossibility. In fact, the situations that overwhelm us are the very stage where his glory is displayed. Think about the Israelites standing at the edge of the Red Sea in Exodus 14. Behind them, the Egyptian army is charging in with fury. Before them, a vast sea stretches endlessly. There is no bridge, no boat, no time to build a raft. Fear grips their hearts, and in human terms, there is no way forward. But God specializes in making a way where there is no way. With one command to his servant Moses, he parts the waters and carves a dry path through the middle of the sea. What looked like the end became a new beginning because God's power turned the impossible into a testimony. In your own life, you may be standing at a Red Sea moment right now. You've tried everything you know to do. You've made the calls, filled out the applications, prayed the prayers, and still it seems like there is no open road. That's when you must remember, God doesn't need a path to already exist for you to move forward. He can create one in an instant. Sometimes he will lead you into situations where human resources fail, where the strength of your own wisdom is not enough, just so you will know it was his hand that made the way. This is not to discourage you, but to position you for divine creativity and supernatural solutions. When you serve the creator of the universe, you carry within you the potential to walk in solutions that others can't see. God can drop an idea into your spirit in the middle of the night. He can connect you with a person you never thought you'd meet. He can use the very obstacle in front of you as the raw material for your breakthrough. The walls in front of you are not a sign to quit. They may be the sign that it's time for him to reveal another dimension of his power. Remember, the God who told rivers to part and dead men to rise is the same God who walks with you today. This means that as a believer, you must never measure your future by what is visible in the present. The Red Sea may be in front of you, but so is the God who can split it. The army may be behind you, but so is the power that can swallow it in a single moment. In your greatest impossibilities, refuse to give in to fear. Stand in faith. Speak the promises of God. Be open to his instructions, even if they seem unusual. Because when the way is blocked, he can not only open a road, you may watch him create one that never existed before. And it will lead you straight into the victory he has already prepared for you. Faith is not a passive wish or a timid hope. It is an active force that compels you to move even when you cannot see the full picture. Hebrews 11:1 tells us, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This means faith has substance. It is not just a feeling, it is a conviction so strong that it changes the way you think, speak, and act. When you truly believe God's promises, that belief begins to stir a boldness inside you. It pushes you to step beyond the limits of logic and into the realm of divine possibility. Faith will not let you sit still in despair. It urges you to seek, to knock, and to create where there seems to be nothing. It gives you the courage to take risks others avoid because you know your foundation is not in your own strength, but in the unshakable Word of God. Throughout Scripture, we see that great moves of God were always partnered with bold steps of faith. Noah didn't just pray for safety from the coming flood. He built an ark before a single drop of rain fell. Abraham didn't just believe God would give him an inheritance. He left his homeland without knowing where he was going. Peter didn't just wish he could walk on water. He stepped out of the boat into the impossible. Faith ignites innovation because it allows you to see solutions before they exist in the natural. It gives you eyes to see the invisible blueprint God has for your life. And it compels you to start building, even when the materials seem scarce and the conditions are unfavorable. This kind of faith is uncomfortable because it will lead you into uncharted territory. It will ask you to attempt things that may seem unreasonable to others. But the truth is, those who walk in faith are not guided by the opinions of men. They are guided by the voice of God. And that voice often calls you to do something unconventional so that His glory will be unmistakable when the breakthrough comes. Faith refuses to wait for the perfect conditions. It moves forward trusting that God will meet you along the way. When you operate in this kind of faith, you are not waiting for the path to appear. You start walking knowing the path will rise to meet your feet. Faith also inspires perseverance. There will be moments when you try and the results are not immediate. You may face setbacks, delays, or opposition. But faith keeps you pressing forward, trusting that God is working behind the scenes. It keeps you from giving up too soon because you understand that the vision is not yours alone. It is God's, and He is committed to bringing it to pass. Faith turns you from a passive observer into an active participant in your own miracle. It makes you a co-laborer with God in shaping the future He has promised. When you embrace that truth, you begin to realize that you are never stuck. You are simply being prepared to move in a way that only faith can lead you. Obstacles are often misunderstood as signs of defeat, but in God's economy, they are invitations to step into something greater. Every barrier you face has the potential to birth an opportunity that would have never existed without it. When the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness, they encountered hunger and thirst, not because God had abandoned them, but because those very needs became the platform for Him to reveal His provision through manna from heaven and water from a rock. Without the obstacle, they would have never seen the miracle. In your own life, the resistance you face might be the very thing God is using to awaken creativity, deepen your faith, and prepare you for the testimony He has already written for you. Too often, when we see a wall, we stop. We assume that the presence of a challenge means God's favor has left us. But challenges are not roadblocks to your destiny. They are training grounds for it. David would have never become a national hero without the obstacle of Goliath standing in his way. What others saw as a giant too big to fight, David saw as a target too big to miss. That change of perspective is what happens when you understand that obstacles are not there to destroy you. They are there to reveal the strength of the God inside you. The giant became the doorway to David's promotion. Your own giants may very well be the stepping stones to your next season of victory. When the world says it's impossible, God whispers, "This is where I work best." The impossibility of the situation forces you to think differently, to lean on Him in ways you never have before, and to step into solutions you might never have considered if the road had been smooth. It is in the heat of trial that new ideas, strategies, and bold actions are born. Many of the world's most powerful ministries, businesses, and breakthroughs were birthed in seasons of struggle. The enemy's intention may be to use the obstacle to stop you, but God's intention is to use it to strengthen you and launch you forward. This means that instead of fearing obstacles, you can learn to embrace them as part of your journey with God. They keep you from settling for the ordinary. They push you out of the comfort zone where faith becomes dormant and into the arena where faith comes alive. In that place, you're not just waiting for something to change. You are co-creating with God, building a path where none existed. and trusting Him to breathe life into every step you take. When you begin to see every obstacle as an opportunity in disguise, you stop being intimidated by closed doors. Instead, you stand ready for God to either open them or give you the wisdom and courage to build another door entirely. That is when you begin to realize that obstacles are not the end of the story. They are often the very beginning of your greatest breakthroughs. Prayer without action is like planting a seed and never watering it. And action without prayer is like running into a battle without a weapon. The two must work together for true breakthrough to come. James 2:17 says, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. This means that while we are called to believe God for miracles, we are also called to step forward and work in alignment with what we believe. When Nehemiah heard the walls of Jerusalem were broken down, he didn't just weep and pray. He prayed for God's favor and then rolled up his sleeves to start rebuilding. Prayer gave him vision, strategy, and courage, but it was his action that brought the vision into reality. Prayer is the place where you receive divine instruction. It is in prayer that God can reveal steps you would have never considered on your own. He can show you the exact stone to place, the conversation to have, or the door to knock on. But when that direction comes, it is your responsibility to move. The enemy loves to keep believers in a state of constant waiting, convincing them that they must sit until every detail is clear. Yet many times, God reveals the next step only after you take the first one. Peter could not walk on water while sitting in the boat. He had to take the step of faith, trusting the word Jesus had spoken. Action, however, without the covering of prayer is dangerous. Without prayer, your actions rely solely on human strength and understanding, which are limited. Prayer invites the supernatural into your natural efforts, multiplying the impact beyond what you could accomplish alone. Think of the feeding of the 5,000. Jesus prayed over the loaves and fishes. Then the disciples distributed them. The miracle happened in the hands of those who moved in obedience after prayer. Without prayer, the bread would have remained insufficient. Without action, the bread would have remained in the basket. It was prayer and action together that fed the multitude. There are seasons where the answer to your prayer is waiting for you on the other side of obedience. You can pray for a job, but you must also apply. You can pray for reconciliation, but you must also pick up the phone. You can pray for provision, but you must also step into the opportunities God sends your way. Prayer positions your heart and aligns your spirit with God's will, while action brings that will into manifestation in the physical world. When these two forces unite, the enemy's grip is broken, doors begin to open, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. God calls his people to be doers, not just dreamers. The power of prayer fuels the boldness to act, and the courage to act keeps prayer from becoming empty words. When you combine the two, you create a partnership with heaven that moves mountains, breaks chains, and ushers in breakthroughs that leave no doubt that God's hand has been at work from start to finish. Your life is not just about you. It is a living letter read by everyone who encounters you. Matthew 5:16 declares, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." When God helps you create a way where there seemed to be none, it is not only for your benefit, it becomes a testimony that inspires others to believe. The breakthrough you experience becomes the proof someone else needs to keep going. Your victory sends a message that the same God who made a way for you can make a way for them. In the kingdom of God, testimonies are not trophies to be placed on a shelf. They are tools to spark faith in those who feel trapped, hopeless, or forgotten. There are people watching you right now, silently wondering if your faith will survive the storm you're in. They have seen your struggles, they know your challenges, and they are waiting to see if the God you talk about is real enough to carry you through. When you press on in faith, refusing to quit, you preach a sermon without ever opening your mouth. When God brings you through and you give him the glory, you become living evidence of his power. In Acts 16, when Paul and Silas prayed and sang in prison, their chains fell off. but so did the chains of every prisoner around them. Your deliverance is rarely just for you. It is often the catalyst for someone else's freedom. Every time you share your testimony, you breathe hope into those who are walking a similar path. Your story may be the very light that leads someone out of darkness. When you speak about the God who healed your body, restored your marriage, opened doors in your career, or delivered you from addiction, you are not boasting in yourself. You are magnifying the one who made it possible. Revelation 12:11 tells us that believers overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. This means your story is a spiritual weapon. The enemy wants you silent because he knows your testimony can dismantle someone else's doubt. Sometimes the way God makes for you will be so unique, so unexpected, that people will know it could not have happened without divine intervention. That is why you cannot hide your story or keep your miracle to yourself. The roads you build through faith and perseverance are not just for you to walk on. They become paths others can follow. When you create a way by God's wisdom and strength, you leave behind a trail for others to step into their own breakthroughs. Your testimony is a light in a world filled with shadows. Every answered prayer, every obstacle overcome, and every victory won becomes an invitation for someone else to trust the same God who brought you through. As you walk boldly into the paths God helps you create, you are not just fulfilling your destiny. You are helping ignite the faith of countless others who will see your life and realize that if God could do it for you, you can surely do it for them. My friends, when life presents no clear road, when every door seems sealed and every option exhausted, remember this truth. Our God is the creator, and he still specializes in making a way where there is none. Through his power, your faith, and your willingness to act, you can turn obstacles into opportunities, impossibilities into testimonies, and close doors into brand new paths. You are not bound by what you see. You are empowered by the one who sees beyond what you can imagine. So refuse to settle for defeat. Refuse to wait for perfect conditions. And refuse to let fear keep you from moving forward. If you can't find a way, create one. Because the one who lives in you is greater than anything standing against you. I pray you step into this truth with courage, boldness, and unshakable faith. May God's wisdom guide you, his strength uphold you, and his favor open doors you never even knew existed. Good luck, go forward with confidence, and thank you for allowing me to speak life into your journey today. May your testimony be the spark that lights the fire of faith in others. God bless you richly.